Let's talk supply chain. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Supply Chain. As always, let's start things off with a question. So, today's guest is building AI that works side by side with operations teams to automate repetitive tasks and level up freight forwarding operations. So, how many hours could you save per month? What do you think? Well, let me know your guesses over on social and keep listening because I'm going to let you know at the end of the show. So, today I'm joined by a business that is on a mission to transform how logistics service providers run their business. They believe that building something extraordinary can change industries and drive meaningful impact. But who are they? Well, it's Reform. So, Reform is an AI powered workflow automation platform built for logistics, allowing you to automate freight operations from quote to cash, manage exceptions, and view your data across all connected systems. And it's Omar, co founder and CEO at Reform, that is joining me for the show. Now, Omar holds degrees in mechanical engineering and computer science from NYU and brings a product and engineering mindset honed during Y Combinator and his time leading key initiatives and helping scale startups now valued at over $1 billion. So today, Omar and I will be talking all about Reform, what they do, creating capacity for growth without increasing operational overhead, why AI isn't just a tool, and redefining what's possible in supply chain. So, welcome to the show, Omar.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Sarah. Very
I'm
excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be talking to you because you and I did an episode of Thoughts and Coffee a few months ago, and I loved it. You brought the energy, brought the conversation, and we got some great feedback on that particular episode. So I'm excited to continue that and to really show the industry what it is that you are doing. And supply chain startups are so exciting to me because in many ways the industry has been little traditional, maybe even a little old fashioned. I mean, the amount of people still using Excel, right? But at the same time, the industry is at the forefront of innovation. So I love to see how businesses like yours are looking to solve past problems as well as prepare us for the future. So let's start by you telling me about yourself. I love a little bit of a founder story. Can you tell us about your background and take us on your journey before we dive deeper into Reform?
Totally. So you kind of mentioned the education. I'm a builder at heart, and I love solving very challenging problems. So I went to school and studied the hardware and the software to see what's possible and what solutions I can build. I went on to work at two different startups as a very early employee in both, and kind of build the products from 0 to 1, help grow the team and validate opportunities for these businesses. In doing that, I realized how interested I was in just building a company that really drives meaningful impact to a meaningful industry. So after that, I kind of went into an exploration phase and problem discovery. Really wanted to go after a foundational industry with a lot of room for improvement. But as you said, like at the forefront of innovation, where there's room for opportunity, and there's challenges that can be solved with the best technologies. Um, so supply chain and logistics was clearly an option. So I thought the best way to learn was work very closely with some of the best companies in the industry to understand what are some of their current challenges when it comes to running the operation, the systems they use, um, and what can be kind of improved and how AI could be applied to solve these problems. Did that for a couple months, and it was very clear what some of the overlapping problems are. And there's a lot of willingness for adoption, to adopt software, to adopt the best technology, as long as you show that you really understand the business. And that was the best way to build trust, is truly understand the business, kind of speak the language, and clearly present how technology could be rolled out in the best way possible. To do it, worked with my co-founder who I met at the previous company I worked at, and then we started hiring exceptional talent to solve the industry's most difficult challenges. That was 2 years ago. Fast forward to today, we're based in San Francisco, serving freight forwarders, customs brokers, duty drawback service providers, and we're just getting started.
And I think the industry kind of captured your heart, right? Like you are here to stay. This industry does that. It like grabs a hold of you and does not let go.
Correct. Loving the people in the industry, the companies, and just like the impact that you can have. It really this cup I have in my hand ended up on a truck, probably through the ocean, and just like being part of that, and knowing that we're driving impact there is very cool.
I love that. I love that. And so you became more and more interested in global transportation networks. You started doing the research, the consulting. What were some of the bigger challenges that you were seeing? Like how did that lead to you thinking I can do this better and establish reform?
What I really noticed how operationally intensive a lot of the workflows are
Yes.
that logistics service providers were doing. It's like a lot of people kind of doing the same job, and really the how siloed the data was. Things are living on paper. There are great softwares that can help the like companies manage the operation. Um, but connectivity, just like connecting that data, visibility for the company themselves and visibility for their customers, I saw a lot of room for improvement there. A lot of the companies that I worked with earlier had people just spending a lot of time doing manual work. And to your point earlier, just like a lot of spreadsheets being typed into, shared, whether it's for internal analytics, for customer-facing ones. And I just felt like there was a clear way to really improve this, digitize the data that's trapped in these documents, facilitate the exchange of this data both internally and with customers. And I saw the overlap not only between like different freight forwarders, but different personas in the industry. So a freight forwarder, a customs broker, a freight broker, and they all kind of had similar problems, and the underlying systems were kind of the same. So building a product that connects with these and digitizes that data and facilitates the movement felt like a clear opportunity to go after. And with my background in technology and the software engineering background that I have, I thought I have an advantage to actually solving that problem with kind of no confirmation bias because I want to solve the problem in a technical sense and really learn just by working with the best companies in the industry. So I chose to go down that path. We're here today.
Well, picture this, because I used to sit at a desk. I would do operations. I would do ocean freight and air freight, and I'd sit at a desk just like this. And you can see that I've got a table back here. This
Right.
table would have stacks of files. And some of these files were like this big, and each shipment on a container, like, had a stack of paperwork this big.
Right.
And I remember typing into the system the status update. So every morning, each one of those files, I would have to go onto a website and see where it was. And then I'd have to go into our system and be like,
Imagine.
container is not docking until tomorrow. And then I'd
Imagine.
make a typo and I'd already pressed enter and it's already gone to the customer. And I was like, oh no, I have to redo this. It was very cumbersome. It was very manual. There was a lot of phone calls. There was a lot of websites. There was a lot of updating. And if it didn't update throughout every single shipment, you'd have to go and update every single it was a lot.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so I
and
know,
dominoes. It's like if something goes wrong in one of the steps, it just dominoes and everything after uh, goes wrong. I
Mhm.
can definitely understand.
But also like the waste, right? With the paper and everything that we needed to have, the file folders, the pens, all those kinds of things. All right. Well, I digress because I'm getting a little bit off topic, but talk to me about reform. So who are you? What do you do? How do you help your customers?
So Reform is a workflow automation product for companies in logistics, specifically freight forwarders, customs brokers, and duty drawback service providers. We discussed kind of what the problem is, just like a lot of manual work, and the underlying systems can use a lot of kind of automation and simplify the work that these companies are doing. And what we help them do is automate processes anywhere from like quote to cash. So there's different kind of workflows that are taken care of in an operation, sending quotes, converting them to bookings, shipments, shipment consolidations. After that comes finance, so accounts payable and receivables, all the way down to customs preparation and duty drawback. So we essentially help them build workflows that really imitate what the actual flow is. A lot of times we actually ingest the SOP itself, the existing SOP that they would essentially give to like a new hire, if you will. And Reform would build an automation that represents that exact flow with the specific business logic for that one business. And then most of the flow is automated. When an exception is raised, we ask for a human to jump in and help because it's super important. The team members are really where the knowledge is, they have the experience, and
Yeah.
that's the only way we can actually build a product that does things the exact same way that they expect it to.
Mhm.
So kind of with human in the loop, with the exceptions are being handled, 90% of the work is getting automated, and the team really is free to do what they do best and work very closely with the customers to improve the experience.
Are you getting any resistance to that?
So um, for sure, and a lot, but we got a lot of resistance earlier. Now kind of building the product while making sure that the team members are really at the core of this experience. They're the ones building that automation, managing it with no code, all in natural language, and just reviewing the outputs of Reform and what AI kind of produces. That helps kind of build trust over time. We always start off with pilots. By the end of pilot, they have the confidence that the product is capable of doing
Awesome.
what they want it to do, and that the quality of the data is better than kind of doing it manually.
I
There's
love that.
no there's no kind of characters missing. There's no typos, and exceptions are raised when there's just truly something missing. A document is missing, a piece of information is missing, and a lot of times we kick off the process to resolve that as soon as possible. So if there's discrepancy in accounts payable, for example, we could trigger an email to start the dispute process. We can talk
Absolutely.
about that in detail.
Well, and I have one more question before we go into all the other stuff. You mentioned duty drawback. How did you hone in on duty drawback as one of like the main ideal clients for you? Because I want to ask you about ideal client. Like, do you have an ideal client? What do they look like? But I'm so interested when you say freight forwarders, customs brokers, and duty drawback providers, because like I don't think anybody's focused on duty drawback providers.
Yeah, that's a great one. So the ideal client is a freight forwarder, and it's really because they're kind of at the center, the supply chain, and they work with all the different, uh, like with all the other companies. And we thought that serving a freight forwarder well will allow us to tap into use cases that other
Mhm.
companies kind of care about.
Mhm.
So doing that and serving forwarders, some of which had their own customs divisions. We built a product that really is more so a toolkit than just like selling use cases. We're not selling use cases. We have use cases that we're really good at that our customers are using us for. But Reform at core is a workflow automation tool, and you can use the product to build for whatever use case.
Mhm.
And we started kind of noticing the overlap between what our customers were using Reform for, some of which were building customs preparations flows. So once that happened, we went out to talk to customs brokers directly and saw if that applies to them and they were interested in it. That was the case. And then a few of our customs brokers customers were like, this for duty drawback is like a massive opportunity. So much paperwork involved. It's a lot of matching that needs to happen, a lot of which use just like offshore data entry teams. And just being a founder, you want to go after opportunities and explore opportunities. So I
Yeah.
reached out to some duty drawback service providers, and the product that we had as we had it just worked very well for these use cases that are very document heavy. I've never seen PDFs as long as the ones I've seen with duty drawback providers. It's like thousands of pages.
Mhm.
Can tell you about a cool story that happened, but this is kind of it. We built a product that provides a ton of value for any data processing flow, and duty drawback service providers just had crazy amount of that. And just like the volume was so much that WeForm provided a ton of value for them.
Well, and there's a lot of money on the table with duty drawbacks. A lot of companies will wait till the last minute to do it, but really they're sitting on a whole bunch of capital that they could put back and infuse into the company. Can you tell me the story? I don't know if this is your case study, and hopefully it's not because we usually do a case study a little bit later on, but I'd love to know the story if it's not.
Yeah, totally. So they essentially had like this one file, an 8,000 pager that they wanted to process, a
Woo.
bunch of entry files, 7501s, and commercial invoices. They were quoted 450 hours by a data entry team to do that work. So maybe like a month and a half or so to just process that file and hand them a spreadsheet with the clean data. Um, and at like $10 an hour or so, it's like close to $5,000 for that one file. They threw that into Reform 40 minutes later because we walked through and kind of stepped through the PDF. They got the spreadsheet that they were expecting for less than like a tenth of the price. With the expected numbers, you can do a calculation and make sure that we got the numbers right. It checked the boxes. They were impressed. Our team was impressed. And we just like in that one execution saved them close to 450 hours and close to $4,000 just for that one execution.
Wow.
And that happens daily. Um, and it's like that was super interesting because the kind of pushback a lot of times is we can hire like full-time employees offshore that do that work and it's a human and we can ensure that the data is correct. It's like, yes, but that one full-time, it's like if we're talking about one full-time employee, that would have taken 10% of their annual kind
Right.
of work. It's like a month and a half of work just for that
Yeah.
one execution. When in reality, there's technology that can get it done with the same accuracy, if not more, in under 40 minutes.
Right. A month and a half to 40 minutes. That's crazy. So let's talk about the technology. I think you've said that AI isn't just a tool to help businesses reach a goal, it's sort of here to transform how they operate. So, are we thinking about AI all wrong? Like, what is your vision for AI in supply chain? How is it really going to transform the industry in coming years? I mean, the example that you just shared, obviously, a month and a half to 40 minutes, we can see that. We can, and we're going to get to another case study later on in the episode, but how is it really going to transform? What do you think?
Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily say it's like everyone is thinking about it wrong, but just like not long term enough. I think the use cases that we're seeing today are very clear ones where AI could be applied. There's manual work that's taking up a ton of time that AI can clearly handle and handle very well. But I think with time, it's just going to be kind of like table stakes, having AI functionality embedded in your operation and all the different systems that you use will just happen similar to how when kind of cloud became a thing. A lot of softwares would outline and say this is like cloud hosted, but then it kind of became table stakes. You no
Mhm.
longer go visit a website and see like cloud hosted kind of CRM. It just by default is. Same with like AI. Now things are like AI powered, AI driven, because a lot of people are looking to adopt AI, so that kind of helps communicate that. But in reality, AI is just probably going to be part of kind of every software and needs to be embedded in these operations, not really like optionally. It's going to be the way things run. And just like data is being processed on the back end with AI and things are optimized like a ton more. There's a lot of optimizations and paths that AI can cover that a human just it's like take tons of time for them to do that. Um, so really, I think the way it can change supply chain is that most of what we're talking about, that table stakes functionality of like the manual work being done, the paperwork that needs to be taken care of. We should stop wasting the amount of paper that we
Yeah.
that we do today. and just like much quicker processing times. Customers deserve much quicker turnaround times. The companies themselves need kind of deserve higher margins and just like more what is it really? Just like higher revenue per employee. Right now, there's like a bunch of employees, a lot of which are doing manual work. So it's like higher revenue per employee, and employees actually doing what they're best at, improving the customer experience, building kind of parts in the org that just provide a lot more value for the customer. And the customer has everything they need. They have the visibility that they're looking for. They have the control that they're looking for. They have the optionality of choosing how they want to send certain things, a way to consolidate them. If there's any optimizations that can be made instead of it being transactional and just like moving goods from point A to point B, the customer wants to have control over the different options that they have, different ways things could be consolidated, dates, preferred dates. So really just giving the customer that control and visibility and the company itself. And just people working on ideas to drive the industry forward. And I think AI can help solve these toughest challenges and allow people to do what they're best at.
So are you saying that sometime in the future we're not going to be talking about AI anymore because it's just going to it's just going to be part of the tech and part of the plan? Because I feel like I say the words AI a number of different times on a weekly basis.
Right. I think it's just going to be less and less and less and less of it. But right now, it's important to talk about it
Absolutely.
because it's just like it's changed so much in the past couple years.
I completely agree with you. I just wanted to ask you if you see that in our future, because I do talk about it a lot. All right. So, how are you helping your customers to work towards that transformation? Like, Reform is AI first. What does that look like in practice for your customers? And from what I understand, they can automate up to 90% of their manual freight operations. Is that right? Like, walk us through that.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely right. And we're starting with kind of what I mentioned, the things that clearly need to be
Mm,
kind of proved and AI just like help take care of. The manual flows, looking at a stack of papers, sifting through them, entering data. That's kind of the first step of it. It's just like pulling out this data and putting it in these systems. Step two is actually synthesizing this data and doing some manipulation and like reasoning before plugging it into a system. Because a lot of times it's not like picking out the number and just placing it in the system, but you actually look at different values, synthesize the data, maybe do some calculations and then plug it in. So that's kind of the second step of it. The third is to actually start taking action beyond that. So a bunch of documents are coming in, and it doesn't really mean anything. It's like documents that it's like for what it's worth, just like a bunch of paper that has data. But when AI looks at it, it realizes, hey, we just received a master bill of lading, a bunch of tear-offs from this truck driver. So we probably need to create a warehouse receipt in the system. So we'll pull out the data, match all the tear-offs to all the respective numbers on the master bill, and then just create warehouse receipts and
mhm.
send confirmation emails to the export coordinators, for example. So now the entire flow, instead of just someone doing it manually, we kind of pulled out the data, synthesized it, and created an object, and also took action and notified people that this task was done. The fourth step is actually taking action and handling exceptions. Sorry, I'll pause for a second. Did you want to?
No, it's interesting because we've gone from talking about that amazing story around the duty drawbacks and what that looks like, but now you're sort of transitioning into end-to-end shipment management life cycle and how you implement and bring the reform platform into that. And while I was doing my research for this particular episode, I think what we're talking about is that it can result into up to 75% in time savings. So I just wanted to make sure that we framed what you're talking about as we transition from duty drawback into end-to-end, operations and what that actually means, because I think that that's such a great number. And I want to make sure we touch on that.
Right. And honestly, it's because that 75% is most of where the time is going. Um, that the data processing is not trivial. The volume of emails, documents, and data that needs to be
Yeah.
sifted through is a lot, and so much of the time goes towards that. And when someone's doing that same thing over and over and over again, they kind of get slower at doing at it throughout the day. It's like they'll start out the day really energized and doing things quickly, but the more you do something, and it's like the less you're learning as you're doing it, that the slower you become at doing it.
Or how much coffee you have throughout the day. I mean, I'm just
That is also valid. Um, so at least 75% is a lot of is like the percent of time that they spend, depending on the role, obviously. It's like a lot of roles are a lot heavier on just like plugging in this data. A lot of the other roles um, just like require some like reasoning and actual cognitive thinking. But for the roles that are heavier on the data processing side, that is the case. For the other ones as well, when like let's say sales, for example, it's like very human. You're talking directly to a human, but they're still spending time kind of creating these quotes and going back and forth over email. That could be automated as well and giving them time to just
Hmm.
do what they do best and communicate directly with these people. Happy to dig into some like other like functions and areas if you
Yeah,
think it's
let's do
useful.
it. Yeah, let's talk about some of those key features and what teams can really do with the product. I mean, you gave us a little bit of an overview of some of the things, but talk to
Right.
us about the key functionality areas and key components that we should really touch on and that you want the audience to learn more about.
So when it comes to the product, I'll simplify it into kind of two. One is building the automations that represent certain workflows that you have in the operation. And then the second is dashboards for visibility, both internal and customer facing. The one helps you get the job done with or without a human in the loop. Even without a human in the loop, if an exception is met, we still call for a team member's help to make sure that the data that's being pushed is accurate and correct. And the second is dashboarding and visibility, because um, one of the biggest challenges outside of the manual work is that even when the work is done, there's still no visibility, both internally and to the customer.
Right.
And it's super important to actually make sense of that data. It's helpful for the company to improve the operations, their ROI, tap into new opportunities, and for the customer to really understand what's happening and what they can improve. Um, and this is what we offer our customers, control over both of these to build these and customize them as much as they want, specifically for their uh, business and for their customers, and build and customize dashboards that they would like to see with the metrics that they would like to see, and extend a version of that to the customers with the data that's important and helps the customer makes better decisions as well. So kind of both of these will help a reform customer automate across four different functions, really. When it first starts off in sales, after that is operations and shipment management, etc. After that comes accounting and finance. And lastly, customs and potentially duty drawback. And just use cases throughout of all of these four functions, but that's the high level kind of four sets of teams that can use Reform.
I love that. And one of the things that you keep mentioning throughout this discussion is exceptions management. And we're in an industry where the unexpected is kind of normal for everybody. But there's a gap with software when it often depends on the business operations happening perfectly. We kind of saw that from before the pandemic, going through the pandemic, and then on the other side of the pandemic, right? Everything was going great, right? Supply chains were working awesome until they weren't. So,
Right.
how can reform sort of deal with all the complexity of the day-to-day operations when sometimes, we've got disruptions and unexpected things coming our way?
Yeah, to your point, the unexpected is the norm. One of our earliest, actually, our first reform customer always says this thing that I love. They're like, in a world peace scenario, we wouldn't have to handle this exception. But reality is that's not, it's like that's not the case, and there's always unexpected things coming our way.
So
Um,
true.
so making sure that the product is built in a way that we can enable the customer to set rules for us to actually be able to recognize this as an exception and call for help when needed is super important.
Yeah.
There's so many like edge cases, and like edge cases in software is like cases that you wouldn't expect but you need to support for. But I realized that in the industry, it's not really like edge cases, it's like base cases. a lot of time, one of the base cases, you're missing a ton of documents and you need to do something there. So we've set up the product in a way where we extend that ability to the customer to really set all the rules the way they want it to recognize certain exceptions or cases that need to be flagged. And when they happen, take a certain path or do certain actions. If we receive an email and we're expected to do kind of accounts payable and we're missing a document, depending on the type of document that we're receiving, they have a rule set. If that's the document that you're missing, then email this
Hmm.
team. Otherwise, if it's document Y, then do this other kind of action. If the numbers don't match, if the amount quoted is not the amount that we actually got billed, then kick off the process to
Hmm.
dispute that directly with the customer, and it happens right away. So errors are flagged as soon as they happen. Um, it's not happening a week or two later with a bunch of
Right.
implications and fees kind of adding up. They're happening as soon as the email is received in their inbox. And everything is handled the way it should be. Nothing is falling through the cracks. And the customer is actually the one that configures these the way they want them without needing to kind of break their SOP or break the way they do certain things. Even when it comes to the systems that they use, we don't ask them to change any of the systems or the way they operate. Reform just seamlessly plugs in to everything that you're using today.
Hmm.
Don't ask to change the operation, and you handle the exceptions the way that you would like to.
So
Uh,
the IT team doesn't need to get involved in this huge onboarding, right?
Correct. It's like for provisioning and getting access, we need some help just like to make sure that we're connected to them. But Reform is like really for the ops team. They just like say in natural language what they want the product to do, and the product does that for them.
Awesome. So, we've talked about the impact on the teams, like you just said, but stepping back, what impact can all of this have at a business level? And with your mission to transform how freight moves, what impact is reform going to have on the industry as a whole? What do you think?
So I think and I might have touched upon this, but for the teams using Reform, just a lot higher revenue per employee because they're a lot more productive. They're no longer spending time on the tasks that AI can
Mhm.
handle. And they're able to provide the customer with a much better experience, and the customer is getting the visibility and the control that they need. So kind of benefit for the Reform customer themselves and their customers as well, both of which a lot of savings, both money and time, and having control and visibility over what's happening. For the industry as a whole, when we do this right and our customers are served properly and their customers are getting that much better experience, then everything is a lot more efficient.
Mhm.
When it comes to either just like timing and efficiency when it comes to time and just like delivery times, or also when it comes to like efficiency and consolidations and making use of the containers and utilizing them in the best way possible and dropping the cost per unit for our forwarders as much as possible. That altogether just makes sure that the industry is headed towards a direction where there's not resources being spent on things that aren't kind of core to what the industry needs to like worry about. And then two, just really give room for improvement to think about areas where there's like drastic change that could happen to the way certain things operate. Similar to like when the first time containers came out, it was just like a crazy innovation that really changed the way supply chain operates and the way goods move from point A to point B. So I think what we're doing will kind of unlock that and enable teams and companies across the industry to think about entirely new ways to move goods from point A to point B in the best ways possible because they're no longer worrying about the things that they have to do today.
I love that. I can't wait to see the future of the industry. Now, I know you already shared a story, but this is kind of my favorite part of the interview is that I really want to learn about a case study. So, talk to us about the challenge that a customer had when they came to you. Talk to us about how your platform helped them, and then what was the ROI and benefit from that?
Yeah. And I really like that question because it kind of distills everything that we've been talking to real tangible kind of output. One of our customers is a mid-sized freight forwarder that came in with a problem uh, that each of their teams had a set of very repetitive tasks that they were doing, and it was slowing them down. It didn't really allow them to scale. Every time they wanted to serve more customers, they needed to hire more people, just like throw more heads at it. And it really kind of fell into three core kind of parts. Sales, when the business first comes in, creating these quotes and the time it takes to do that, where response time is like of the essence and getting back to them quickly with the right quote is super important to close that deal. Two is managing the shipment. So converting these to bookings, creating consolidations once we have the house and master area we bill. And then once that's done, the accounts payable. They kind of like followed each other, and each of them had its own problems and its own
Uh-huh.
slowdown. And they had a really large team in each of these three that handle that work. So on average, it took them 15 minutes or so per quote, 5 or 10 minutes or so per booking, and then 20 minutes or so per consolidation. Same thing for accounts payable. So all together for like a single one, there's like about 2 or 3 hours of manual work of just like really synthesizing the data, going from the email, making some decision and getting back to the customer. With Reform, we've managed to automate these kind of four things to them. Uh, the quote creation, converting that to a booking, creating the shipment consolidations directly in CargoWise, and that was their system of record, and then four, doing the accounts payable automation. That flow for a single one went from kind of 3 to 4 hours or so to 3 or 4 minutes, 1 minute per each of these tasks.
Wow.
And it's like the team has the visibility they need. They see all the data. They're handling the exceptions when they come up, and they're saving at least 1,500 hours per month. Um, that's like four or five full-time kind of employees doing the work. Um, so outside of kind of the savings on money, they're saving uh, like the number of headcount that's actually involved in this. And now the operation is set up in a way where it can scale without needing to hire more or just like throw more people at the problem. The infrastructure is there for them to accept a ton more customers
Mhm.
and handle it in the same exact way with the same turnaround time that it's like one person can handle an account.
And what was their feedback to you when you did that?
That is, so we took kind of the YC path, and before kind of going into more growth, we wanted to serve 10 customers that love the product. And that was the first that checks every kind of love the product box. They're always the ones coming in with super helpful feedback. A lot of the features that we have built in the product is actually direct feedback from them. Generally, like Reform was built from like iterating and working very closely with the customer. And they are always coming in with new ideas. So, like on a weekly
Mhm.
basis, they're sharing ideas, new opportunities where they think Reform can apply. And we're actually currently working on three other use cases
Wow.
that specific customer, some of which have to do with the data processing, other ones have to do with like analytics and trying to predict things for them to make better decisions.
So that's how you build trust. That's how you build partnerships and long-term value and resiliency, right?
Correct.
Is by really coming together, having that feedback loop, and being able to perform in the beginning, and then also turn that into other ways that you're going to be able to work together. I love to hear that. And I appreciate you for sharing that story. Now, I think you have a special offer for us. Can you share that and let us know how Let's Talk Supply Chain listeners can take you up on it?
Of course. So we always start our work with any of the Reform customers with a pilot. This is really where you get to try out the product and see that the product is capable of doing what we say it does and kind of serving your use case in the best way possible. So the offer is a free 1 month trial of Reform. It's valid until a month from now, until August 15th. Reach out to a member of the Reform team or myself at Omar at reformhq.com. Code is Let's Talk Reform, and we'd love to kick off a pilot with you.
I love that. Let's talk reform. I love that. That's how we brought the two together in collaboration. Now, supply chain and logistics teams are constantly juggling multiple priorities and dealing with operational bottlenecks. From vast manual workloads to delays and errors, there are boundless obstacles limiting businesses' ability to grow sustainably and respond to customer needs quickly. But reform is changing all of that, from document extraction to customs compliance. Reform seamlessly integrates with your systems, learning and improving every step of the way. It's the engine that drives efficiency across your entire operation so you can focus on scaling your business. Now, did you have a guess at today's big question? At the top of the show, I asked you how many hours could you save per month with Reform? Well, it's over 2,000 hours. Just think of what you could do with all of that extra time. As Omar said, if you want to find out more, you can head over to reformhq.com. If you'd like to hear more from us, we have plenty more content for you featuring the best and brightest in the industry. Head over to letstalksupplychain.com to check out the latest. Omar, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Sarah. It's been a pleasure.